Planet Coaster 2's update number 3 just released or is releasing. I'm not really sure. What day is it? Who knows? But I am here to show you every single piece that comes in this update. So without further ado, my name's Leaf. Thank you guys for checking this kind of showcase out. And let's jump right in. Here's everything that comes in the Western set and update number 3. Alright, so let's check out the non-Western stuff first because there really isn't much. So these are actually going to be some of the stock coaster parts from the Vector sit-down launch new gen. I believe that's correct. But you can see we have race car attachments right over here. It can kind of fit together well to kind of make whatever kind of race car you want. You have the spoiler right there, you have the wheels, and you also have the fighter jet, which is kind of cool. You can kind of, kind of attach these guys together. Yeah, you can kind of attach these guys together to make, like, I don't know, like mini little fighter jets. I don't know. It's kind of cute. You can kind of do some nice theming with that, but it's kind of adorable. But I'm always happy to see these kinds of parts in here. I think the wheel is probably the best damn thing in here, just because it's so versatile. Like, I'm not really going to use this one in any kind of, like, weird way or something, but the wheel, I feel like we can figure out some really cool stuff to do with that right there. Alright, now the Western set. This is probably one of the biggest updates I've ever seen in a kind of Planet-style game, probably because the launch of Planet Coaster was not the best. But these are mostly all pieces from the original Planet Coaster 1 theme, with some extras in here just to kind of add a little bit more spice. We'll start off with the signage over here. Most of these pieces, they are able to be typed in, so yeah, you can kind of see that stuff right there. You can just type your stuff in right there. That's kind of cool. But basically, that's it. It's just, signs. I believe they are all flexi-color. We can check out the new select sections later down the line, but you can see if we change this channel to red, and then this channel to blue, and then this channel to white, you can see that there are a whole bunch of different flexi-color slots in here, so that you guys can really make the most of these. Honestly, I really want to see these being used as, like, actual pieces. Like, I've been doing a lot of Planet Zoo projects as of late where we've been using a lot of different pieces in more kind of, like, I don't know, kind of creative ways, if that makes sense. So if we kind of turn this to, like, a little bit more of, like, a chocolatey brown, you can see that you can kind of use these as, like, kind of 3D log panels, which is kind of cool. It just gives that little bit extra depth, a little bit extra texture in there. I like that. That's cool. But yes, moving on from there, we have all these windows and doors. Windows are on the top, doors are on the bottom. I really like that. I really wish this create new group was added right up here. I feel like it makes more sense up here with, like, these big buttons that you see up there. I don't know. But again, these guys are once again flexi color. We can change these guys out to be kind of our nice bright colors over here. We can change the third channel to be white. You can see only a couple of them have that third channel. This door, this windowsill, you can see that little piece right there has that, but they're all mostly one or two kind of texture slots, which is cool. Like, I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, these can really help go a long way in making your Western town really stand out. And yeah, what is a Western town without Westerners? So we do have these little animatronics over here. So thankful that we finally have some good animatronics in this game, kind of like person scaled ones, once again, we're going to change these colors out to be the red, blue, and white, so you can see the texture kind of like slots in a lot more detail. What's the last one? Yellow. So yeah, you can see that we do have a bunch of animatronics, and I am not entirely sure. Hold on. What I want to do is see if we can actually attach these guys and they'll move. I don't think so. I think that's kind of like a little missed opportunity right there. Just because I really want to see skeletons, kind of like just, not like skeletons like bones, but like skeletons of animatronics, so we can kind of make our own custom ones, But regardless, really awesome that we finally get some kind of like cool gunslingers over here. That's pretty cool. But moving on from there, we have a couple more kind of like, just general decor. Really wish most of these were flexi-color. It seems like they aren't, though. Always a big fan of getting flexi-color wherever we can, because it really helps really flesh out kind of like, I don't care. Can we, we can disable these. Oh, yes. Okay, so that's another thing we'll check out just a little bit later. But yeah, these are the new kind of like path items. These are the ones that guests will interact with. I love these though. Like, this is awesome. I love this. I feel like if you're doing like a kind of woodsy inspired park, this would be so good for that. I love those. But yeah, you get a little bit more of a basic bench, which honestly, this doesn't even say Western to me, which I appreciate. I love more versatile items. Like, that is so good right there. And honestly, you can probably find a cool use for that shade right there. I don't know. I'm not too creative right now. But let's check out the rest of what we have. We have these kind of awnings, I guess. We have these awnings, and we have whatever you want to call these. I don't know. They're kind of just like wall motifs in a way. So yeah, we'll go through and change these colors out so that we can see the flexi-color channels. Most of them do have two, which are these ones over here. This one you can't really change the color of, but that makes sense, even though I would appreciate it if it weren't. But yeah, these guys only have one flexi-color channel, but I could see so many uses for these guys, just in terms of like, you know, just general decor. Like if you're doing some molding on the side of a building, these guys would be perfect for that. Oh my gosh. But speaking of perfect, say hello to my perfect pieces right over here. Oh my word. We finally get some nice logs. We get some nice beams. These guys only come in one size over here, so I'm actually going to move these guys over there. But we have three different kind of like shapes over here. We have square ones, square posts. We have this a little bit more of a rectangle post, and we also have nice wooden log beams over here, which is kind of cool. This guy over here, that is very interesting. That is just a tiny little guy right there. But it seems like these guys can also scale up pretty well, which I wouldn't recommend doing that on this guy because he's kind of low quality, but that's fine. And we also do have a lot more of those kind of like moldings, kind of like brackets. That's what really awesome for any tiny little detail in there. How small do they scale? I always love to see this, and we'll check this out in full detail later, but yeah, these guys actually scale down pretty well, down to about 50%, which is cool. Really wish that Frontier would kind of be like, hey, here's the reins, you guys can scale it however big or however small you want, but that's about that. We do have stairs over here. I actually placed these guys a little incorrectly, so let me actually place them correctly. So yeah, just general stairs if you guys are doing kind of like an upstairs bar or something, or you want some like implied, I was about to say keeper areas. If you want some implied staff areas, those guys are perfect for it. We have these boys right over here, just a bunch of spinning wheels. Let's change the kind of settings out here to be the true ones. And yeah, you can probably see that, you know, you have the chance to kind of activate them or deactivate them. You can kind of on trigger only, you can have them deactivated, you can have them on a loop, which is really cool. But yeah, I kind of like that. Like, I really do enjoy these pieces, and if you want more custom wheels, you can feel free to use those new animatronic pieces that I still have not even had the chance to play with. They scare me. Alright, coming over here, we do have a little bit more of kind of like crates, barrels, and all that stuff, all these goodies. So we're going to change these colors out so you guys can see the lovely kind of flexi color opportunities on these. But yeah, these guys make the return, the baggages and kind of like suitcases. And we also have these guys over here, just big old crates. If we pull over one of these guys for scale, and yeah, people back in the day, and kind of now too, have started to use like the animatronics as a way to kind of create scale over here. So you can see this one's a little bit more realistic, but they do kind of scale down to, and check this out a little bit earlier, down to 50%. So that really is pretty good, right? Yeah, I kind of like doing it this way because I can see which ones I've kind of touched on and which ones I haven't. This is just another bracket or brace or whatever. I'm not really sure. I'm going to actually put this guy right over there. And you can see he does change color, which is pretty cool. Very awesome. Nice. Alright, we do have a bunch of new fences over here, really awesome ones at that. I love the white picket fence right in there. That is awesome, and it seems like that is the only flexi color one in here. So you can kind of change out the caps, you can change out the posts, and you can change out the bars on there. These guys aren't flexi color, but that's to be kind of like expected. They're a little bit more of a natural color. But still, once again, I would really love it if stuff were more flexi color than not. And kind of like this one right over here, we do have that kind of classic ranch arch. Really cool piece over here, very themed, very good for kind of like your Western town. We do have these boys over here. These are kind of like floor panels, which I think is kind of cool. So if we do change out the color on these guys over here, they do change color, but these guys don't. I still love that texture though. That is such an awesome one. And the thing is, it's not even 3D, it just looks it because of normal maps. Really cool stuff over there. These wooden decks, these guys kind of go with this set over here, but they are not flexicolor, which is a little bit of a shame, but hey, you can't win them all. Okay, over here we have kind of like your general props, which I always love to see. Like general props in these kinds of packs or like collection are so helpful. So you can see we changed out the colors for red and blue. Not too much stuff is flexicolor in here. These guys really aren't. I think maybe that handle was, but I'm not entirely sure. Who cares? It's just a handle. But you can see the tents are, which is kind of cool. And this little kind of like luggage carrier is. But besides that, these just come in your natural earth tones, and yeah, you got a nice little coffin in there. But yeah, they just come in your actual like metals or earth tones. That's kind of cool. I'm not really too like dissatisfied with that. I honestly think that this set, like this little section over here, is probably going to be the most useful pieces. But yeah, that's about that. All right, moving on over here. We actually do have these kind of like American flag banners and stuff. Cool stuff. I really can't complain. Like, you know, it's awesome that we finally have that stuff right now. And I changed it to a completely different country, but that's fine. I'm not offended. But yeah, those guys are always awesome for helping like your Americana parks and stuff like that. But you do get some new lights over here, which is very cool. This should be the only light slot in here. Very cool that we finally get these kind of like antiquated kind of like, you know, like these olden style lights. I really do love that. I think this game was absolutely missing some of those classic kinds of architecture pieces, so having that in here is really welcome. Over here we have just logs. You have logs. You have the big log, you have the half zone, and then you have the kind of like plank over there. Really cool stuff. Alright, these kind of go with the fences over here, so I'm kind of just going to group these guys up and move them right back here. But yeah, these are just kind of typical fences that you'd find in like, you know, Western town and stuff. Only 2 flexicolor slots on there, but that is fine by me. Really cool stuff. Alright, we start to get into a little bit more of like the locomotives. We start to get a little bit more into that industrial revolution kind of stuff over here. You can see that we do have some more iron girders that are coming to the party. Very awesome. And we also do have some metal pipes. I know a lot of people probably love the aquatic theme in Planet Coaster 2. I personally do. I haven't really built with it too much, but it really is awesome. But these guys can go such a long way to making like those little corridors feel a little bit more confined. Yeah, I don't know. I think you can absolutely use these guys for kind of like a sci-fi build. I don't know. I really like that. Can I turn on snap to position? It's not on. Oh, these don't snap. That's a little bit of a shame. Damn it. Alright, a little bit more of these train pieces over here, or like it's a bank piece? I really don't know. Like, I'm not a Western head whatsoever. I play Red Dead, that's about it. But yeah, these pieces are pretty cool. They have like this super awesome metal texture. Not too many flexicolor channel slots in here, but it is still pretty cool. You got a little piston right there. You can make your own train. It looks like these were kind of put together to make that piece right there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that's it. It's awesome. Like, I don't know. And speaking of train, we do have a bunch of different pieces for the train set over here. I'm going to group these guys all together so we can see all of their flexicolor channels. But if we change that to red, and we change this one to blue, and we change this one to yellow, you can see that you can make some pretty colorful trains over here, especially these box cars. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. I can't wait to see what people make with all those. That's going to be so cool. But you can also do some custom train tracks as well. You can do kind of like ones that go off the kind of beaten track. But I'm not going to lie. I am not going to lie at all. Probably your best bet if you are making kind of like a train track, use this. Like, you can get so much more kind of like, I don't know, angles and stuff like that. You can do so much more. These pieces right over here, you can kind of like turn them on themselves so they automatically kind of link together. They automatically make kind of like the, whatever you call them, the supports. I don't know. There's so much more you could do with that, but I don't know. It's just awesome to get those pieces in here. How do they actually stack up? Because yeah, that's kind of what I'm curious about. If, you know, you can kind of mimic these You really can't. You really can't. They, I don't know, it looks like it happens every other one, or like, you know, every 2.5? I don't know. I'm not good with my fractions, but that is very interesting right there. But I don't know. You guys can play with that. That's cool. Cactus. I'm so happy we finally have cactus. We just need a desert map now. Yeah, I remember in the trailer, it looked like we finally got like a desert map, but we actually didn't, which is a little bit sad. But you can still use these cactuses. I'll show you what I built later in the video. But yeah, that's cool. You have all these kind of like themed pieces over here. I'm gonna call this the covered wagon and kind of show set, I guess. Really cool pieces. I don't know. It's just awesome that we finally get returning pieces from Planet Coaster 1. Especially these kinds of things. Like you can have a little band in there. Too bad we don't have any band animatronics, which is a little bit of a shame. These guys are not flexicolor. That's a little bit of a shame. I don't know. I felt like of any pieces, these absolutely would have been, but that's a little sad. The piano, is the piano flexicolor? No, it's not. Oh my gosh, it's just this guy. That's kind of weird. Okay. All right. Up here we have just like miscellaneous hanging items, I suppose. You get a clock, and you also get a winch, or you get 3 winches. Kind of cool to have that stuff. I don't know. I'm just always thankful to get more pieces in the game, but, like, I don't know. These are just 3 pieces over and over again. It's fine. I'm not too upset, but, like, I'm fairly certain they kind of just ported them over from Planet Coaster 1, which I can't be too upset about, so that's really that. But moving on up here, we got the pieces that are too big for their own good kind of stuff. You can see that we do have this, what do you call this? The steam shovel, and it's supposed to attach right on this guy right over here, so it's a little bit more elevated. Really awesome themed piece right over there. Love that. We can change out the colors on everything. It shouldn't really be too many items, but that's totally fine. I chose a wrong value right there. That's a little bit of a shame. Yeah, I can change that to yellow right there, and you get a bunch of flexi-color slots with that one. Like 2 or 3 of them on this guy right here. That's kind of neat. These guys, yep, you can get 1 flexi-color value with those kind of like water towers. I also get that water basin, which he did not get auto-selected in there, but that's fine because I don't think he's flexi-color, no sirree. But probably the biggest piece in here, out of anything in here, is going to be the steamboat or the riverboat, whatever you want to call it. Really awesome stuff in there. You can also attach this big paddle right in there, which is awesome. But yeah, these guys are just really cool. I don't know. I just love the use of that kind of like in the background. Maybe you guys can attach that to a roller coaster or like, you know, a little ride that goes under the water. So you guys can have this guy kind of treading the water and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it for that guy. Now we start to get into the kind of like other pieces. We start to get into the building sets, the buildings really. So over here, we do have 1 flexi-color channel for the, what do you call these guys? What is this set? The wood tile roof. Really awesome pieces in here, really awesome texture. If you guys want some basic shingles, those are perfect for that. And then we also have the corrugated metal set, which is really awesome. Again, 1 flexi-color channel. We can change this to red. Actually, let's just go through these and change them all different colors. It only affects the bottom line, so it just affects the wood that's kind of scaling right underneath there, which is fine. I really would have loved the chance to kind of change out the colors on the kind of corrugated metal, which is probably what I would do the most. The brick set over here actually has several flexi-color channels, which is so good. It is so good. We can change these bricks to yellow, and we can change these ones to white. Now it kind of looks like a McDonald's in the western town, but that's totally fine. I do love how we finally get, like, I don't know, just a little bit more different color in terms of bricks and stuff. So you can kind of play around with these just a little bit more. Maybe you can do just a little bit darker bricks in there to give just a tad more kind of like texture, I suppose. But I'm just going to keep everything nice bright colors because I entertain for children. But yeah, over here we can check out this set over here. I'm not sure what it's called, but we'll check it out in just a few seconds. Again, 3 flexi-color channels, that is totally fine. That is the wood plank set. So these guys are actually horizontal wooden beams, which is very good to see. I don't know, it's just awesome. I love to see that. They're super detailed, and they're also from the original Planco. How do I know that? Because we poured them into Planet Zoo. Okay, and we also have the wooden batten set. Really cool set over here. The vertical beams, once again, are super awesome. So you can see, same thing over here. It just affects the roof pieces for the multiple color channels. But this is just a really awesome textured set. It's going to go such a long way in terms of doing whatever you really want. Now, my biggest gripe with these sets is we actually don't have panels in here. So you can see we do have like the glass panels and stuff, but we don't have, like, if I look up batten, give me 2 seconds, batten, we don't have panels in here, which are kind of like the, if I up something like over here, and then I kind of this guy out right here, it's these half width, it's these kind of like, whatever, 2 meter half width and the other half width. It's like these pieces. And the best part about these guys is that they can actually rotate on the axis if you don't have something like free build or something. I know free build isn't out for Planet Coaster 2 yet, but that just seems like a big glaring omission for me. And I very much would have liked to have had that in here because, I mean, you can't do that with buildings if you're working in Planet Coaster and you do use kind of like the gridded pieces, like these ones over here with like the grid behind it. You can't rotate these on an axis, which is terrible. It's like terrible. That is so restricting for building. That's probably my biggest complaint when it comes to these sets. Also, before we get too ahead of ourselves, we also have this set over here. It is the wooden, again, these guys kind of go with the wooden plank set, but not really, because it's just a completely different texture altogether, which is neat. Like, I'm happy to have different textures, but yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. I don't know, Frontier, if you're listening to me out of all the other Planet Coaster YouTubers, I would very much like those panels for all of these sets. And I know it's probably not the biggest ask because it's just the same pieces from the other sets, but that's really my biggest gripe. Overall, these are incredible pieces. Like, we have a ton of very useful ones in here, especially looking at like these guys down here, even though they're not really flexy. I don't know. These guys, especially like these guys right down here, are going to be so helpful for detailing. These windows are going to be so awesome. These signs, everything in here. It's just going to go such a long way for helping you really pad out your parks. And I really can't wait to see what other people like, you know, like Caesar are going to do with all these incredible pieces. But that's really it for the pieces. I know I've been talking a lot for the pieces, but we do have a new coaster in here. This is the inverted suspending coaster. This is making a return from Planet Coaster 1, I believe. I believe it's making a return. I'm not really too sure. But it is a suspended coaster. Just ignore my stupid little whatever you call it with the terrain that's happening here. But it is super cool. Like, it is a suspended coaster, so the tracks are on the top over there. I am not a big thuzy, so I'm not really sure where this guy actually came from, but it is super awesome that we finally get like more coaster types in the game. Suspended coasters are probably some of the cooler ones out there. I don't know. I just like the idea that you're kind of hanging from a beam that's on top of you. That's really cool. But yeah, that's it. In terms of like, you know, most of the really cool stuff. We can check out the 4-seated. It's, what do you call this guy? What do you call it? The sit-down 4-seater. And these guys actually do have a different cosmetic. You have the standard version right there, which is so good. Oh my gosh. That is so awesome. And we also have the other one, which is, yeah, it's this guy. Automax launched. It used to have like this, and it still does. It still has this kind of like F1 kind of theme, but that is good. That is good right there. Oh my gosh, we finally have like these basic bitch coaster cars. I love that. That is so awesome. I don't know. I always do appreciate that stuff, but I don't know. That's pretty much that for that. Yeah, I'm just kind of reading the update notes right now. We have adjustments and enhancements to ride attendance, guest economy and management enhancements, stability. Okay, no, we can go out to the menu. First, I'm going to save this so I can, you know, just make note of it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit more of a laid-back showcase today because, I don't know, I kind of appreciate that a lot more. But yeah, we basically have access to all of these kind of maps in here now. Very awesome. So if you guys have played through the career, which I really do recommend, you get some access to really awesome kind of theme parks. So we're just going to load into my favorite one, which is this tropical one. And yeah, if you basically load in, you get a fresh kind of template over here. Now, you can't really edit all the way out here, but there are ways to kind of get stuff out there. So let's just say, boat. Let's just find that big old boat. There we go. So what I'm going to do, and this is kind of like a cool little tips and tricks video while we're at it. So what I'm gonna do is kind of attach two different ones on top of each other. And I'm going to basically push this out. Oh, they fixed it. That's sad. That is very sad. Basically, you could have pushed it out so that the middle was right there, and then it pushes one piece out all the way over there. I don't know. It's a little bit of a shame, but now we can finally adjust the lighting, and then we can change the weather so that it doesn't rain. Love that. That is so good. But yeah, you have access to this entire map now, which is so cool. So if you're doing kind of like a beachside kind of park, or if you want to do something kind of like a pier, you can probably do that. You just won't be able to go all the way out there, which is a little bit of a shame. I'm sure there might be a mod sometime soon that kind of like allows full map customization that goes all the way out there. Why do we still have this piece in here? Who knows? But that's just still there. Can we delete that? No, we cannot. That's a shame. But yeah, this is just super awesome right here. I don't know. It's just finally, like, I don't know. I just love it when Frontier is like, here are the tools where you can finally do whatever you want. Because after all, the management in this game really isn't the best, but it is a sandbox game when all is said and done. It really is awesome to be able to kind of like adjust all these different things in here. Let's check out another map. Oh, this is a beautiful map over here. It's been like months since I played the career, so this is just loading into kind of like old friends over here. I don't know, I kind of like it. Oh my gosh, yeah. If we kind of just adjust the sun again, I don't know why it doesn't default to like 12 so we can actually see a decent kind of like cover layout, but this is beautiful. Like, I can really imagine like a nice kind of like old style park in here. This is beautiful. Oh my, I kind of want to build in this after this video because this is just so inspirational. Just to have all of this room out here to kind of expand your park into. This, okay, yeah, I'm gonna build in here after. You guys might get a little bit more extra Planet Coaster content as of late, but yeah, this is super, super awesome. But that's really it for that. Let me check the other stuff in here. We do have guest flume like changes. So if we kind of do this over here and we do create custom, and then we can do kind of like the body flume. Actually, no, let's do kind of like the raft flume. We can do something kind of like this. We can place this boy down. Actually, we need to place a couple more platforms down first. It's been a while. I apologize, y'all. So what we can do, we can basically just have this guy go right all the way down here and then kind of just dip up like that. And then basically it doesn't matter what happens after that. Let's see if this works. We can see that, you know, the new raft mechanics. Okay, no. They told me to do something different. Enhanced flume behaviors. So if we come over here, and then we come over here to... Where did they put? It is on. Interesting. So I guess the jettison feature already kind of does work. It's just we got to build up more speed. So, swoop. And let's kind of fix this up. And there we go. They are getting a one-stop shop right into the ocean right there. Let's angle it perfect. Okay, so hopefully this should work. If we go into this right over here and we check it out from the chase cam, yeah, you can see the new bumper kind of physics right there. I'm not sure if that had to... No. I think I'm doing this wrong. Yeah, this is probably just a Leaf plays with Planet Coaster in the first time in like months video. But you know what? I'm not too upset about that. Let's check it out from that other wing. Yeah. So they should be able to jettison right off of that, which is so cool. I don't know. It's just so awesome that we finally have that stuff, because that was a thing back in Planet Coaster 1. Not Planet Coaster 1. Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. But you could see a little bit of like the kind of deforming to whatever the, what do you call it? Kind of like the slope was. So we can kind of check that out again right over here. We can go back here and then check it out from probably this wing right over here. You can see it kind of does deform alongside those sides, which is so good. Oh my god. I know I was kind of saying how it's not really the biggest thing in the world to me, and frankly it still isn't, but it really is awesome how we finally have that. Okay, we're gonna talk about probably my favorite feature that has made its way over from Planet Coaster, not from Planet Coaster, from Planet Zoo. Okay, I just gotta find like a decent foliage piece to kind of show this off with. So basically, if you're playing Planet Coaster, and you are building as you did kind of before, if you place a bunch of trees down and you don't really rotate them, you start to see the patterns a little bit more. You start to see the same thing over and over again. And frankly, that looks like shit. So instead, what Frontier has added, they have added random scale, which is so awesome, which I'm going to actually change this to about right over here, 90 and 110. And I'm going to put on random rotation. So I'm just going to go for, oh, I'm sorry, what? Okay, this is kind of interesting. I think, okay, so random rotation, how I'm seeing that, how it's working right now. If you leave it on, you basically get like this little kind of like, they change wherever they're located, which is very cool. I'm very happy about that. But if you kind of change maximum over here, you start to see they actually rotate on the other axis, the y-axis or the z-axis, I'm not really sure. But yeah, that is cool. So you can kind of have it wobble a little bit, which I always do appreciate. Just because no one really does that. That is definitely a step up from Planet Zoo. So you can have tree thickets that kind of have a little bit more, I don't know, variety to them. That is really cool. I like that. Don't mind me, I'm just kind of deleting all these pieces once again. And we can try this with a different piece. So let's try the elm tree. So if I kind of align this to the surface up here where it's flat, and then I kind of change this out to, let's just say, I want to say 5 degrees. You can see they do kind of dither a little bit. They do kind of wobble, which is really good. Like, I don't know, that makes me so happy. Like, having that opportunity to kind of like have these dynamic looking forests comes so much easier. That is so good. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, this update is, it's kind of getting me want to build once again, which is very cool. And I'm probably not going to build in my old parks because I lost the inspiration for them. Maybe I'll go back to glass bottom flumes and inflatable deformation. That's kind of cool. Career maps, custom ride audio. Yeah, let's check out custom ride audio. Yeah, we can check out the river rapids, which is very cool. Love a good river rapids, especially in Planet Coaster 2. Definitely not Planet Zoo. Let me check this out. We should be able to go to customize. We can go to change music, and you can actually bring in user media, which is awesome. Yes. So let's just do reflection coastal journey. And then we can kind of ride this on test mode. And then if we come down here, you can hear it, which is really good. I don't know. That's awesome. This is very chill. I like this. I like this. So yeah, just seeing more features added for this game is always so awesome. We're going to load into my kind of like Western kind of test park, I guess. I kind of started this. I was like, oh man, I'm going to do like this big video. And then real life got in the way. And I was like, oh crap, I actually don't have the mental capacity to build something like this. But I got started on it, which is kind of cool. But yeah, the pieces really do work super well. I don't know. I'm such a big fan of this set. Just being able to finally build Western towns in this game is super good, especially because this is probably one of the most common themes that you will see in a theme park, especially an American theme park, just because the kind of like the, I was about to say infantilization. No, I'm trying to use big words that I kind of know the meaning of, but I don't really. Absolute love that Americans had for the Wild West back in like the 50s when amusement parks were really becoming a thing after like, you know, the baby boomers and stuff like that. It's such an iconic part to kind of like the American theme park experience. And I'm so happy that we have it because it's just so iconic. I don't know, maybe I'll come back to this little park over here. Maybe I'll bring all these pieces into that other map because I'm definitely going to build in that other map today. Yeah, this, I don't know. I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of how this theme kind of came out. And I'm a big fan of this update. So it really is super awesome to see how the Wild West is going to shape Planet Coaster 2, especially in the future where we get even more themes. Cross your fingers, knock on wood, because I would absolutely love to see that. But I want to thank Frontier for giving me early access to this so I can play with these pieces a little bit, let you guys know how I feel about them, and really showcase them off to all of you, because they are, like, I don't know, I'm happy that Frontier is kind of like mending their wrongs, even though it really wasn't really wrongs, it was just like misunderstandings in terms of Planet Coaster 2's release. But I'm super happy that we have this now. This is so pretty. And I can't wait to see what all of you do with this. So I hope you guys enjoyed the longer video. See you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.